welcome to this brand new must-watch show, if I may add. If you have any queries on what course to study and where, or need help as you apply for your dream job, remember, this is the place that is going to help you. Here are the experts that are going to get that dream job within reach. It's all possible. We're going to try and get your concerns addressed and queries answered so that you can have all that you ever wanted. You can tweet us or even send us your messages on our online page. Remember, if it matters to you, it matters to us. Our big focus. It's a dream for lakhs of students around the country to crack the prestigious JEE or engineering exam and make it to some of India's top institutions. Of course, among them, right on top, the IITs. Students spend years preparing, most after class 10, to try and fulfill this great engineering dream. The first exam, in fact, was conducted way back in 1960. So what is it about engineering that has so many takers? Let's find out.
Lakhs of students hard at work on their big engineering dream, preparing for the joint entrance examination that allows them to take admission into the top engineering colleges of the country. The challenge is not just cracking this exam, but also ensuring they get good marks in their class 12 board examinations. And studying for the two of them together is no easy task.
It has been 2 years since I have been preparing, and since then I have been given about at most 5 hours a day.
Isn't 2 years a lot of time?
Ideally, a person can prepare for the JEE in 8 months, but that 8 months should be devoted to JEE only. But we decided to study for 2 years so that we can take things slow and steady. There's a myth among people that if you're preparing for JEE, you have to be locked up in a room and study for whole day. But this is not so. You can crack JEE even if you study 3 to 4 hours a day.
Many students begin to study for the exam as early as class 10 in coaching institutes across the country, and they are clear on why this means so much to them.
Basically, I am giving this exam so that I can test myself in an unknown situation with the known approach. Like when we give JEE advanced test, all the questions are new, they are unknown to us, but we know the approach, how to tackle them.
I think that I have come so far that I won't be able to go back. Okay. This is the only thing I should do. Engineering or nothing.
And for those of you who want to know the top tips on how to crack this one exam, well, hear it from the experts.
There are two things that they need to keep in mind. Number one, they have to write the board examinations, and since board has a weightage for selection into the NITs, they have to focus on the boards also. Probably 15 to 20 days before the board examination, the students should sit from 10:30 in the morning to 1:30 and take a mock test at home. In the boards, 80% of the paper is repeated from last year's. So the effectiveness during those 3 hours of examination is what matters. Now when I come for engineering, they should not be worried about the 11th syllabus right now. They have to focus on the 12th syllabus. In the competitive examination, since every question has equal weightage, so it is important that you read the paper for the first 5 minutes. First, choose the easiest questions. Mark them in the paper. Do them first because your final score matters. Choose whatever is easier in the paper on that day. That is what is important. And if you score more than 60-65% in these tests, you'll get a fairly decent rank.
Well, you've heard from the experts on what it takes, but what about someone who has cracked the exam, in fact did really well? Chandan here, studying computer science, first year at IIT Delhi. Chandan, thanks so much for coming in. The big thing that I of course keep hearing is it's such a difficult exam, how do you crack it? Can you help us with tips? So for all those watching who looking at you and want to be in your shoes soon, what are the top 3 things that you say matter?
Hard work is the most important thing, and be dedicated towards it. Don't quit is the second thing. It's 2 years of journey, and whenever you start, if you are really dedicated and you are doing hard work, you can really, continue. You can really get into IIT.
You did a lot of hard work yourself. You're from Lucknow. You went to study for 2 years in Kota. You did your class 11th and 12th from there. How did that really help you? What about Kota really sets it apart? Why is the same kind of coaching not available all over the country? What did you feel?
The thing in Kota is basically that the main focus is on JEE thing. Like when we are in Kota, we have friends, all of our friends and all of our hostel mates are doing the same thing. So the atmosphere, the aura there
There's
helps.
one common goal and everyone's working towards
Yeah,
it.
right. And there's a mutual competition, and all these things help us to crack JEE. I mean, get into the exam, get through it.
What is it like? You're talking about being with friends, but is it sort of all work and no play?
No, it's not actually all work and no play, because when you're with friends, everything is a play. So studying, competing, solving questions, like mera pehle ho gaya, and these things are fun too. And so, we also took time to watch movies. I mean, after we had tests on alternate Sundays, so after every test, we went to watch movies in the city mall there, and we generally played cricket and football sometimes on our holidays. So it's not like all work and no play. I mean, it's
You
harder.
find that balance, I would imagine.
Yeah,
that,
it's harder work, more studies than the rest of the places, but no play is
Yeah,
not
it was
correct.
impossible. Okay, that's a big relief, I would imagine, to many. But what has the whole IIT experience been like for you so far?
The maximum pressure is of balancing between the extracurriculars and academics. Those who do not get involved in extracurriculars, they do pretty well in these things, but those who strike the balance between co-curriculars and academics, they do better than those who are doing only
Life
academics.
is all about balance and sort of doing more than just one thing.
Yeah.
What next, Chandan? What after another 3 years? What's the plan? What do you have in mind?
I think I'll be doing a job in my core branch, that is computer science. So somewhere in what I dream of is being in Google or Facebook, doing some job, a pretty good job, and then after a few years, I want to open my new company in, if possible, in cyber security.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all the very best, Chandan, and I'm sure you will be able to realize your dreams. And thanks so much for taking our time to speak to us. Thanks very much for joining us on the program. Now joined by our expert, Mahesh Perry. He's the chairman and publisher of Careers 360. Mahesh, why does India produce so many engineers? Where do they go? Do we produce more engineers than anywhere in the world?
Yes, we are the largest producers of engineers in the world. But having said that, we need them. You look at, we are growing in services, we are growing on hospitality, we are growing on, on the civil or the mechanical or whatever it is. The manufacturing hubs are growing. So we need engineers. The only thing that we need to work on is how do we make them a bit more employable.
Well, let's get started right up. One of the big things, of course, has been the fact that you cannot neglect your board exams anymore. It's caused just so much heartburn, as it were, to not neglect your board exam, which you could do earlier. So why is there so much protest about it?
The thing is, a student who goes through a proper 11th and 12th class standard, he's a bit more rounded than a guy who cracks the examination in a JEE. A single day should not determine our life, is what we always say. So there has to be a weight for what you've done in the academic pursuit, at least at the 11th and 12th class level. And so it's very important, very crucial, and it will help the student in the longer run.
The other big talking point on this has always been the online versus the offline exam, and you hear pros and cons on either side. Those who've taken one say, the other is better. My friend who did the other had the advantage, and vice versa. Is that true? Is it true? I mean, aren't they both at par?
They are on par, but having said that, personally, if you ask me, I'll always prefer an online examination because the chances of mistakes would come down dramatically. There is a proper scalability. There is a better normalization, and so on and so forth. Having said that, there was one bad thing that happened last year where there was a power outage, the computers conked off and all. Right. So student typically he's lost for words at that point in time. He's very nervous, even otherwise when he's getting into an examination hall, and he's always worried of the repetition. But having said that, given an option, I would always go for an online examination.
I see.
But this is the first year, rather the last 2 years, the number of applicants for online examination has been coming down because there seems to be a fear factor in the students' minds. For example, the CBSE has said that they have reduced the number of centers. They actually have online centers in Delhi and all, and they don't have offline centers. The students from Delhi go to offline, which is they go to Faridabad and Gurgaon and take the examination. They seem to be preferring an offline mode because it's a bit more tested, it's a bit more tried, and they feel a bit more comfortable with the whole thing.
In fact, you've answered the first question, which was just this, the student saying that I filled in for the online format, but my friends have gone, have I made a mistake? And talking about the same system failure, the power cuts which were reported at some centers last year. But of course, that's I can imagine as a student being really concerned when you hear things like this. You don't want to lose out on this big day because, I mean, although you're saying that one day shouldn't determine, but, you know, it is still a very big day.
It is a big day, but this is one-off situation, you know, it doesn't repeat itself. So you can't, you know, take decisions based on the 1% chance that something might go wrong.
Right.
And if you are a student sitting in the cities and all, metros, and if you're a good student, the online examination will be a true representation of what you are, than possibly an offline examination.
Here's another one. I've applied for an offline exam. I feel students giving the online exam on later dates will benefit as the paper pattern and question type will be known to them in advance.
Not really. This is again a misconception in a lot of students. This is how, you know, the word spreads. But it is not the case because neither the question nor the pattern would be repeated.
I see.
The CBSE has enough bank of questions to ensure that no student gains because he's taken the second level or second slot or the third slot or the fourth slot. In fact, for each examination, like JEE has 4 slots. For each slot, they actually go through a normalization on a daily basis to understand whether statistically they are all on the right track.
Right.
So nothing would benefit a student because you're taking the 4th slot than the first slot or vice versa.
It's not just good enough to crack the exam, get into a top institute, but you need a lot more. And when you're out there in the job market, you need to prove yourself every day. As we just heard there, expectations, there are great expectations.
You know, the thing is, Natasha, we must all remember, and I say this to many B schools and engineering college students, that once you're in the job market and once you get into a job, the IIT and a 100th ranked engineering college student, if they get into a job, it's your performance at the job that will speak and not where you came from. Today, no one asked me where I came from. I'm a chartered accountant. I'm a publisher. How does it relate? So at any point in time, it's a battle that you have to win each single day. And that would not be determined by what you were or what your qualification was.
Don't get complacent. Remember, you have to really prove yourself every day once you're in the job market, before, after. It just... Believe me, it never ends. Well, that's it then. Mahesh, thanks very much for taking time out to speak to us. Well, on that note, we're slipping into a quick break. Coming up after that, how you can chat securely online on your favorite topic. No more talk to strangers, and it's completely safe. Coming up right after the break.